Now, on to more conversations this morning. It is that time of the year again where holiday makers return to their respective workplaces, homes and schools after the holiday season. Now, this results in an increase in the number of people requiring transportation and a decrease in the various modes of transportation. Hundreds of vacationers have been stranded at the Okatana Service Station in the Oshana Region, among other places, as a result of this scenario. Now, some public transport operators are taking advantage of the situation by overcharging those in need of their services. Bus fare, which is normally between $300 to $350 Namibian dollars, has now escalated to $400 Namibian dollars and $500 Namibian dollars. Now, this morning, the Secretary General of the Namibia Bus and Taxi Association, NABTA, Pendapala Nakathingo, joins us to speak on the situation. A very good morning, Mr. Nakathingo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
All right. Kindly just give us an update on the current situation that is happening at the Okatana Service Station, as well as, other holiday spots.
Well, the situation at Okatana Service in the northern region is so critical, and what I can say is that the passengers are stranded and they try to find transport to reach their destination, especially students going back to school and those going back to work, but they find no transport there.
All right, and it's because transport is very expensive at this point.
Yeah, probably that's one of the contributing factor, but the issue is that there's a lack of transport during this time. And as NABTA, we have been guiding and cautioning travelers, especially passengers, that they must make their early traveling to avoid these kind of situations. I myself, as the Secretary General, towards the end of last year during the festive season, I have been involving in information dissemination and cautioning the passengers to make their early traveling, especially coming from this side to holidays and going back to school and to work. We have been always advising them to do so. But last year, towards the end, when they have been going to their holidays, they have done so. Most of the travelers have done so early. They make their early arrangements. But, it's always difficult coming back from the villages, from holiday, leaving your families to going back to work. It's not just always easy. But we also have been advising the parents to make early arrangement for their students, because we know this time situation being getting critical.
All right. Now, how much longer do you think the situation at the Okatana Service Station will be going on for?
Normally, it takes always first 2 to 3 weeks, the situation to get back to normal. But as I said, the situation at current is so critical. And now the drivers are getting, advantage of that, and some of them are not drivers. They are just those boys at the surroundings and trying to overcharge passengers so that they can also get a living. But we are cautioning them and we are warning them not to do so, especially when it comes to overcharging of passengers. Sometimes also it's coming from the passengers themselves, especially those who are going back to work. They offer a high amount of money to the drivers, which also now disadvantage other commuters, especially the students, that those who cannot afford to pay such a high amount of money. So, but we are cautioning them all not to overcharge or not to offer drivers a large amount of money, which is now disadvantage others.
All right. Now, for those that actually want to overpay because they do not want to be left behind, do you think that is a really, major problem, or is it just because, they are trying to actually get to work on time or to school on time?
What we have experienced in terms of offering the high amount, it is from those who are going back to work, because students can never do so. So that's why always students become a victim of the situation. So, but as we speak now, really the drivers, as I said, that they are taking advantage of such, especially some of them, we have received the report saying that they're charging up to 500 Namibian dollars correctly, as you have read it. But we, especially between the north, between Oshakati, Ondangwa and Windhoek, the normal price is 330. So, but we receive reports saying that some bus operators, drivers, they are charging 400, 500, and from Utapi we received to say that they're being charged 500 to 600 just to Windhoek. So we are warning and cautioning that really drivers must not take advantage of the situation. These are their passengers as regular customers. So we understand the situation where they came from COVID. So, but they cannot recoup on that manner. So they must just charge normal price. Otherwise, if there are some lackages, is where they can, charge extra fees. But they must also see to it that students going back to school. So the parents don't have money. They are just trying to at least cover the situation. So we must not do that.
All right. Now, are there measures put in place or perhaps actions that will be taken for those operators that are overcharging?
Currently, we are engaging the law enforcement, throughout the country to make sure that they monitor the situation. And if we find out that there are those, especially the report that says there are individuals that letting customers paying the money in advance without any vehicle around, so and they run away with passengers' money. We really warning them, and we are telling the drivers not to let anybody charge customers' money on their behalf. So they must do it themselves. There is this time of the year, there is no need of any loading master to get to the bus who as an assistance. So because passengers are coming themselves, and there are many, so we don't want to see the situation where the passengers pay their money and somebody run away with that money. So should it happen again, so we have taken decision to lay criminal charges against any individuals that are going to use that particular opportunity.
All right, now onto a New Year's front. What can the public transport users as well as the operators expect from NABTA? What are some of the projects or initiatives that you're putting in place for the year 2023?
Before I go to the project, I want to appreciate the drivers' behaviors, during the festive season. So we are still in the festive season, but during last year, towards the end, we didn't experience any fatal accident caused by bus. We really thank the bus operators on that manner. So we are asking them to continue doing the good thing, driving so safely, following the rules of the road. So it is a good sign, especially maybe that was as a result of NABTA's initiative when we introduced this defensive driving and first aid training skills. So, and we continue this year because we want to train all the drivers or bus and taxi drivers throughout the country. We want to see all our bus and taxi drivers become road safety ambassadors, because training the bus and taxi drivers, you train the nation. And giving this first aid kit to be in every taxi and bus, rendering that services whenever the accident occurred. So it will also save lives and save time, and also the cost, especially from the MVA fund and other stakeholders, because drivers are always 24 hours on the road. And we see to it that we want to train especially long distance bus drivers to have their first aid kit and to know how, because at the end of the day, when the accident happens, the drivers are the first to reach at the scene. But without any first aid training, they cannot do anything. You know the law, it says you cannot touch anybody if you don't have skills. So now we have decided as NABTA to train all the bus drivers so that whenever they come across the accident, they will be able to render the first aid while the ambulance is arriving. So it's an initiative from NABTA, and it's requiring efforts from all stakeholders. So we are funded by Vivo Energy Namibia. We really thank Vivo. And last year we have already trained about 200 bus and taxi drivers within 4 months, because we have started this training from September. So, and we continue doing so, and we are calling upon all the stakeholders to come on board, especially in terms of funding and in terms of other materials. So that is the project NABTA have at hand, which is now going to include training the loading masters at all loading terminals to make sure that the passengers are getting necessary services. And also we have also developed the system where the passengers are going to do their bookings whenever they want to travel, because having the system in place, it will determine the movement of the passengers throughout the country, and it will now also help us mitigating the situation, especially now where the passengers, especially from the northern regions, are stranded without transport. So having a system monitoring the movement of the people throughout the country, it will tells you which direction the passengers are moving at which time. So then we'll be now preparing vehicles in advance to say during December, majorities of the people have moved towards the north. So then we'll make sure that in coming January, when the students going back to school or employees going back to work, so there will be sufficient public transport due to the number of passengers. And especially even when people are traveling back to holidays, then we'll be knowing how many people travel from the south coast, you know, east and the north. So that will, the system is going to tell us. So those are the projects at hand, and those are the NABTA initiative.
All right, Mr. Nakathingo, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and also just for the information to educate and also inform the Namibian public.
Thank you very much, NBC, and we'll be engaging you as usual. So you are the main partners in this regard, so that we can make sure that we educate the public and we make sure that the public is safe.
All right, that was Pendapala Nakathingo talking to us. He is the Secretary General of the Namibia Bus Association, Bus and Taxi Association, talking to us there, and also just highlighting that bus drivers are not supposed to overcharge. That is, of course, their passengers. It is just not right, and also just highlighting on some of the few projects that NABTA is currently working on for the year 2023